right, good morning. Again, you can see my breath. It is probably at least 30 degrees on the high end. But making our way to the gym. It's about 8 o'clock, again, a little later than I normally do. But we're gonna do a full body day today. I'm gonna be hitting the trap bar today, doing some flat bench, doing some kettlebell swings, so kind of mixing it up a little bit. You know, I always feel like, you know, these days are just, again, when you're just like freezing cold, you don't want to show up, but you just have to do it, you know? It's like one of those things, it's like the non-negotiable mindset, right? Again, I definitely don't feel like doing this now. I have a lot of other things I have to do after this, but I know my productivity and my mindset are going to be so much more aligned in like another hour, hour and a half. So we'll get this out of the way. Today's going to be a busy day with a lot of calls. I have calls pretty much for like 4 or 5 hours. Some current clients I'm checking in with, and a lot of discovery calls. New clients that want to work with me. So it's all good stuff. I can't complain. But I'll meet you at the gym. I'm gonna be doing 340-pound trap bar deadlift, and just like I mentioned with the squats, right? Like I like to keep my shoes off for this so I can actually like grip the ground with my toes. It's gonna improve my stability, and like I mentioned in the previous video, it's gonna help activate a lot of the smaller muscles in my legs. And when you're lifting heavy, like every little bit of advantage helps. So the other thing I wanna do is, if you're new to the trap bar, it's a great kind of like beginner's deadlift, because the hex bar here really auto-corrects a lot of your form issues if you have any. But one of the common things I see is like people are standing straight up with their butt up. What you want to do is make sure you're standing in the middle of the hex bar and then lean back slightly, right? And keep your chest up. And what you'll feel is it creates sort of this natural lifter's wedge. So instead of being like a squat where your knees come really far forward, you really want to try to like hinge your hips back more. So let's get into a couple of reps here. So I'm going to take a big breath before I start, brace my core. Let's get after it. There we go. So the other thing you'll probably notice too is I didn't like completely slam the weights on the ground between each rep. You know, I tried to control as best I could, because you want to control the eccentric and concentric portion of the lift. That means when you go down and up, it's harder that way than just kind of like dropping it at the top. And also everyone around you won't hate you as much too if you do that. So I'm gonna now take a quick second, and now we're gonna superset this with some kettlebell swings. For these kettlebell swings, I'm gonna do single arm. I'm gonna just push this back a little bit more. And whenever I do a kettlebell swing, I just wanna make sure I'm set up right. So I start with my feet close to the kettlebell. I'm gonna take another step behind it. Then I'm gonna have my feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Again, same thing with like the deadlift. I'm gonna hinge my hips back here, trying to find that lifter's wedge. Remember, I mentioned that before. And then instead of swinging with the kettlebell just like this, I'm gonna lean back a little bit more, tilt it back, and then we'll get after it. And then the other thing you'll probably notice is the analogy I like to make is like when I'm doing my swing, and putting it down, it's like a plane goes up and a plane lands. You want it to be nice and smooth. You don't want that crash landing. So now I got these two done, superset. I'm giving myself at least 3 or 4 minutes rest. All right, so now we're going into my second set. We're gonna do some barbell bench press. I have 245 on here, and we're gonna superset that with some sort of like pull motion, right? Because whenever I like to do, when I do like a superset, I like to do a push and then a pull when I'm doing full body. Because if I just do push, push when I'm doing this type of weight, the second set's definitely gonna suffer. And when I'm able to do supersets, I'm able to be a little bit more time efficient, get more in. So one of the things when you do the bench press too, you know, obvious thing is just make sure your elbows aren't flared out. You want to keep them tucked in, keep your shoulders pinned back, and let's go and drive those feet in the ground. Okay. Okay. Oh, fuck. Whew. So those last 2 reps, you know, you really should be fighting for it. You know, that's where you get the growth is like those last 2 or 3 reps where you really push yourself. The only issue is like when you do bench press like this, you know, I'm not going to 100% of failure. I'm ending at like 90% because I don't have a spotter. But that's just something to think about when you're working out. All right, gotta do the rows now. All right, so I'm on the seated cable row machine, and this is perfect. You know, one of the things when you do this is you definitely want to go heavy and really just try to make sure you get that full range of motion between each rep. So let's put up the weight here. Let's get into it. So one of the things I like to do is just make sure I'm as strong when I do my rows as I am when I do my push. That's going to help you with injury prevention, all that type of stuff. You want to be evened out. This is the hanging ab raises. This is not easy, but I'm telling you, this is just going to light up your core like no other. So if you had these arm sleeves, these are the best. You know, a lot of them sometimes are in squat racks. If not, you know, you can hold on to up here and do them. That's gonna be a little bit harder in your grip strength, but like if you can do that, that's great too. So let's get into it. So one of the things that you wanna really focus on doing, and something I always need to be aware of, is just trying to resist the momentum between each rep. And really driving your hips forward at the top instead of just like bringing your knees to your chest. So I'm gonna do a bunch of leg raises with my legs going straight up, and then I'm gonna do some obliques. I'm gonna try to hit at least 8 to 10 reps on each side. And the thing with core is you have to go to failure. If you're not pushing yourself to failure, you're literally wasting your time doing this stuff. So let's get into it. And one other point too, when you bring your legs up, you wanna exhale. Oh, okay. Oh boy. We are donezo. I am fried. That felt so good. All right. Workout is complete. All right, so we're gonna be making some dinner now. I have kind of a unique recipe I'm making tonight. I got it from the ingredients I got yesterday at Whole Foods. It's going to be some sockeye salmon. We're gonna make our own kind of original marinade, and we're gonna air fry it. And just like also like I always do is keep it simple. So I have some rice that we're just gonna heat up, and we'll probably just add like an avocado. But so something like I want to talk to you about real quickly is I always like the sockeye salmon, so I don't know if you can see that, how delicious that looks. So sockeye, compared to Atlantic, has a deeper red. It's always, or the wild caught is going to be a leaner cut, and the sockeye also has more omega-3s than what you get typically with like Atlantic, especially farm raised. So whenever I have the choice, if the price difference isn't crazy, I always choose the sockeye. It's a little bit more fishy, but again, for me, it's like I still love it either way. But I think what we'll do is I'll show you the end result once it's completed, and we'll have dinner together. And can't wait for this. This is gonna taste so good. All right, so take a look at this dinner. Not bad, right? So cook this on the air fryer, avocado, and I just heated up some rice. But I have a funny story to actually tell you. I got this idea because the marinade was kind of unique, and the way he had it was he was dicing it up into like small pieces and making his own marinade, and the caption was, "This is like the easiest quick meal to make." I think it is, but the issue was my knife wasn't sharp enough, and I was just like hacking away trying to cut it, and it kind of was a shit show. But I basically just cut it into like 2 or 3 pieces. I couldn't cut through the skin though, so it was just like, it was like a saw. But what I ended up doing was I still made the marinade like I was planning. But when I put it in the air fryer, when everything started to crisp up, then it was really easy to cut through the skin. But before that, it was just like a joke. But this looks really good. Again, it took me probably like 25 minutes to make, but I think if I did this again, I would know better. It'd probably take me at least 20 minutes. So let's do the taste test. All right, so. So it's really good because the marinade I made, I put soy sauce in a bowl. We put paprika. We put little bits of like parsley. We put, what is it called? Some garlic powder, a little bit of like salt and pepper, and put it in there, mix it up, and just let it sit, and you can like taste it. Oh, and some honey. So don't forget the honey. And it just tastes so good. This marinade with this. So if you want like a quick, simple recipe, try this out, give it a shot, but definitely make sure you have a sharp knife. All right. Hope you have a good one, and still 50-50 if I'm working out tomorrow. It's just going to depend. I got calls again, like 5 or 6 calls, and I got to get one more lift in. I have 3 lifts per week as like my non-negotiable. So we'll try and squeeze it in. Either way, I'll be seeing you.